got a returning guest to today's episode, and I'm super excited to have Teresa on again. Teresa, say hi.
Good morning. Hello.
Yeah, well, good morning. It is. It's right. It is morning here, and we have a wonderful morning. And success stories that we really want to talk about today are going to be, what things are happening in your practice, which I'm super excited about because I've seen you since the first day I called you, and you answered the phone and said hello, and now here we are in a second episode and some really great growth. So I'm excited about that because I'm a real human interest person. I really like to hear the stories of the ups and the downs, and we all go through battles of to get to success. It's not a straight line. We all know this, and if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this or watching this, probably if you're listening or watching this, you are probably going to be just excited to hear about the ups and downs and the eventual success that we've now seen you catapult towards. So Teresa, why don't you just give us a quick overview of um, your practice, and just a couple of seconds about how it started, and then we'll get into the questions I'd like to ask about the layers of
Absolutely.
success that are starting to come from.
Absolutely. Yeah. So before Practice Bloom came into my life, I'd been trying to run the med spa by myself for 6 months and do the marketing for myself. So this has been the med spa has been my full-time gig for the past year and a half. Would you believe we just came up on our 1-year anniversary? And so we'll have some great numbers to share with you on that. Prior to that, though, I had a traditional day job, traditional medical job, and had been through a couple of tough years. Bankruptcy, where I had to bankrupt my traditional medical practice because of changes in insurance, a terrible divorce. I was hit by a truck and broke 14 bones. Remarriage, had to resuscitate my own husband, do CPR on him several times, and he's well, thank God. But I mention all that to talk about staying grateful and staying tough through those ridiculously difficult times, and staying faithful, and know that you got to get crushed. The rock's got to get crushed and the diamond comes out of it. And so if you're going through the tough times, there's hope at the other side of that tunnel, and I've got some good information and numbers for you on how that happens.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think a lot of people go in through their journey don't understand that it never ends, meaning that
Yeah.
there's always another dip and there's always another mountain, and that you're going to just come up and down based off of just the things that happen. And I think you've highlighted some crazy stuff that happened to you, but there's also a lot of highs in there, that are coming out. So where were you before? Maybe we could just start there. Before you kind of got involved with Practice Bloom, with our team,
Yeah.
you mentioned that you were just trying to do the marketing by yourself, and I'm just curious, how that whole thing, because we run into this quite a bit. And I understand this because a lot of people don't want to spend money on marketing, and it's difficult because you're hiring some unknown. Tell me a little bit where that was, and what really was the catalyst to sort of say, hey,
Yeah.
what was the thing that was like that got you through this, and really where you were from a financial standpoint, because that's probably what more people are interested in.
Yes. So doing the marketing on my own was extremely fragmented. And I went back and counted how many other social media marketing, or how many digital marketing companies I had been with prior to you, and it's a half dozen. So I had been burned by every digital marketing med spa company I could list anyway. The med spa was doing okay. I was seeing 5 to 10 patients a day. Growth was flat. My marketing was fragmented. It was, oh crud, Sunday is Mother's Day. Let's put out an ad today. And so it was fragmented and it was flat. And then came the catalyst. And the catalyst was, I'm going to say it was twofold. One, it's from changing the mindset. And then two, just this incredible trust that I was able to unfold with Practice Bloom. So the mindset, you've got to have the first class mindset. Shop in the first class stores. Fly first class when you can. Imagine your business being first class. And then it just became so easy to trust Practice Bloom after just a couple of weeks with them. Would you believe for the last year, we have averaged 20 new patients per week from you guys? Because of the way Profit Engines works, it has given me this incredible trust to let you guys roll forward with what we need. And with a sales cycle, I mean, we have a short sales cycle, right? These people are coming back every 8 or 12 weeks or even more for other services. With the math of 12, you can imagine that exponential growth. And so that's going to continue to catapult us to the next level. You guys have
Where
just been
were you
exponential.
before we got started with you guys? Where were you from a revenue standpoint on a monthly basis?
Oh, dude, we were like happy to be getting $30,000 to $40,000 a month.
I
Now
think
we're
that's where I remember having the conversation with you because you were upset that you were around 30,000, and I said you should be double that plus more. I mean, I remember the conversation because I said, how can you be at 30,000? I mean, that's for you as a, and I could call this, you are a superstar, meaning that I think of you as one of the people that when we interact with, you've got a bright and cheery personality. You've got almost like what I would consider the perfect optimal um, reasoning about this, which is that it is like anything is possible, right? Everything is figure outable. Um, and so at 30,000, and so where are you today, just so we can benchmark it?
We have had so Q1 of 2021 was 300% over 2020. Um,
Wow.
and so that's how much growth we've had. And in March, I halfway to my 10x goal. So in March, our revenue was 200,000
Right. So from 30,000 to 200,000 in a year. I think
in a year.
that's the real story. And I always tell people that, you know, sure, Practice Bloom is a good marketing company, but I think we're also, in a way, a coach, a mentor, a partner, a team member. And I think that's the missing special sauce that we find with us versus a lot of our other competitors or conspirators, whatever you say.
Mhm.
We really, I think we sort of have a lot of the mixed ingredients that, especially for the aesthetics industry, because we've had a lot of the play in this industry for a long time. We don't have to ask you what you want. We'll come up together with a strategy, and I think that's where you become a team member. And we look at your growth as an outgrowth of the fact that our team has got some history and maturity through this process of spending 10 years in this business. But other than that, you've got great team members that support you, and I think have rallied around your cause, especially because we really see that the models that you did, which is that you made it through COVID without a problem. Now, everybody can say that they've had challenges with COVID, but I see what you did was you stayed strong through the entire framework. You never really stopped. And what that was is a catalyst, as I said before, towards your growth, because a lot of people didn't make it and a lot of people gave up. And a lot of people also didn't have the mental perseverance to really do what you've done. So tell us a little bit about that. I mean, I'd love to hear what sparked things into overdrive for you.
Yeah, yeah. Once I signed on, good question, with you guys, your marketing people are so professional and have such a good background in this. When I talk to Morgan or James, I feel like I'm talking to my business advisors. They've been in the industry for so long, and the marketing looks so darn professional and so sexy and sleek, and like a well-run machine that when people come into my office then the first time and actually meet me, they think this is some multi-location giant industry, a giant business, and then they, oh no, no ma'am, this is a one-man show. Like it's me. Hi.
I know. I
And
know.
so
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that. I just wanted to take a stop at that. We have
yeah.
a couple other practices who said the same exact thing, which is
Uh-huh.
they are, when we talk to competitors of the people who are, let's say your competitors or some of the other competitors, they think there's this monster, huge machine behind these med spas. And I'm like, it's really just positioning, authority, good strategy, good call to action, and taking advantage of just human psychology. And that whole profit engines model is that model, which is really looking at from A to Z, or from 1 through 9, which are the steps in profit engine. Taking its psychology, building the right landing pages, coming up with the right language on the landing pages, getting through to the customer by getting the right ad sets up, getting the right mechanisms behind that, then following through and optimizing those mechanisms, getting the reporting done so we can see what we're doing, and then tying it all together with a great sales strategy, which is what you really have as well, which is you're a born salesperson to a degree from me. I've heard you with customers before, and it's just fantastic. And it's such a key thing. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you think this is probably a piece that might be something that people can consider when they, are going to, if they're in this entrepreneur world, to really study up on getting good
Yeah.
sales process in?
Yeah, how interesting. Because you really need to keep that confidence that you are the listener is the medical professional, and the patient is there to hear what they need. Tell that patient what she needs and then give it to him. She's not there to bargain with you. You have a white coat on. You accept your own words as what that patient is going to get today. And
Yep.
there's no questioning that. And I try to teach my nursing staff that, and as mid-level providers, it's been a tough lesson. You want every patient to think that not only is she the most important patient in your life, she needs to think she's the only patient in your life. You're answering her text, you're answering her questions in detail without giving the science, because nobody really wants to get the science. For
Yep.
example, if she wants to know how does the Botox work, you just say it softens the muscles. She doesn't want to hear about the neuroreceptors. And it's not because I'm killing myself and working more. So for anybody who's thinking of doing this and taking the leap of faith with your team, Matt, dude, I'm working banker's hours. I'm working banker's hours like 15 days a month now, which I definitely wasn't doing before. So, this 300% growth didn't come from killing myself one bit. It came from your team of Morgan doing my social and James publishing it, that just made it happen. So now I'm able to have a whole team of nurses doing the evenings and weekends, and I can train them on the sales technique. So I can just focus on the higher spenders, the VIP patients.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to remember. And I just want to mention this because I think it's important. Sales process and having that down is the difference between a really good med spa and a marginal med spa. And we've actually understood this, and this is that we've come to the conclusion that some people are going to need help, and some people are going to need appointment setting. We've built that into our structure now that we can help if people don't have a good sales staff and they don't have people to support the growth of the lead flow. You need to book the patients, meaning that we can bring in 20 to 40 patients a week, but you got to book them. Yeah, you got to put them in a chair. So if you're not picking up the phone to support that, so I think, we've got the outsourced, customer care center to pick up those calls and book them, which is part of the reason I think why, it all works together if you don't have the resources. So I think because a lot of people in the entrepreneur world don't know where to find a resource. And I think that that's really one of the things why I keep saying, I think we're trying to help and coach and mentor and bring people through this entrepreneurial experience, especially in this industry of aesthetics, because it's a huge business. There's so much opportunity as you've grown from 30,000 to 200,000 and going beyond that. And that's sort of what I wanted to sort of get to the next stage of this discussion, which is where do you see this going? And obviously, look, I know this is a time horizon, and not everybody wants to own a practice forever. And we have lots of our practice owners who've started other businesses, who
Yeah, good point.
sold their businesses because they've been successful enough to move on to other worlds. But we also have lots of people who, let their med spas run on their own with a person that they've hired. So where do you see yourself taking the med spa? So maybe someone who's watching this now and they say, boy, in 1 year from now, if I could be doing that, but then what's after that?
Yeah, good question. Good question. I'll start with the longer term goal. So the kind of middle term goal, which is in the next 2 to 5 years, stop doing this full time. So in the next 2 to 5 years, I would love to sell the practice and just work here very part time. And so if there's a buyer out there who's interested in a very lucrative business, we're going to be for sale in the moderate term. But the more short term, I continue my 10x goals and write your goal down and then freaking figure it out. Don't try to figure it out first. Write your goal down. I remember a year and a half ago when we had a really good week and we had $10,000 in sales in 1 week, and I thought it was really good. And I remember looking at my husband and I said, "Do you think we can do that every single week?" And he said, "Absolutely." Well, then I 10x'd that goal, and we want 100,000 now every single week, and that's the new goal. And so I'm
Yeah,
halfway to my 10x goal already. But there's 2 new services that we're adding. And I think Morgan, my customer Bloom contact, is just amazing, has been amazing in helping get these off the ground. So the one new service is going to be the IV hydration bar. So have people come in on Saturday and Sunday mornings and get their hook up to their drip. And
yep,
then 2, believe it or not, we've had all this growth without having body contouring. We don't have body services here. Can you imagine what the growth is going to be once we add the body contouring? And you
yeah.
guys are just
Well,
experts in that. So I'm
yeah.
thrilled
I
about
mean, we've seen, the 400,000 range with some of the people who are doing the body contouring, right?
it.
And if
Mm-hmm.
they can get 2 machines up and running and full speed, it's a life changer. Um, and I love the IV. Let me tell you, uh, if there was a way to park outside a casino on a Sunday morning, I would just do mobile casino IV. Get those because
Yes.
the casino would probably pay you to stand there to get these people back in line.
Yes. Get them back in the casino.
Exactly. What's interesting, and we see sort of fluctuating services through the aesthetics space with different things that people gravitate towards. Obviously, body contouring is super hot right now, and you know this industry is growing very, very wildly this year because of the release of obviously a lot of people from being afraid to go out, and that the expenditure level is off the charts. And I've talked to a lot of of our clients, and they are experiencing their best years ever because they're literally rebounding from last year's tidal pool, right? Which was the tide goes out, but now the tide comes back.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, what specific operational flow has helped you? And I know this is part of what, we do well, which is we help people organize their lead flow and manage that process. But is there anything specific that really has helped you catapult yourself through the operational aspects? Because obviously people are interested in who are listening to this, or a person who might be watching this might say, well, that's great, but how the heck do I do that? Like that's so
Mm-hmm.
much stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the one answer is that there's the obvious physical answer that you can answer for me, which is you guys manage the leads, and we have an
Yep.
incredible call center. And if there's a med spa out there who's interested in getting contact for the call center where everyone
Yep.
speaks fluent English and just really does follow up on the leads, and that's actually the easy part. I'm hands off on that. I can't even tell you the details of the step by step how the patients gets
Right.
booked. What I care about is the end, that I got 20 new people in front of me every week. But then
Right.
besides all that is the my practice bloom coordinator, and I just agree that perfection is the enemy of progress. We're not shooting for perfection on every single idea, and we just have so much fun on the. Of course, we're remote. She's in New Orleans. She's not even close to me. On the phone, we just have this sisterhood where we can mention an idea to each other that's just crazy and terrible, because every idea is crazy and terrible at first, and then go with it, because
Right.
that's how progress happens. And so I'm completely confident that this trust and this sisterhood is a big part of that operational flow, apart from the real answer that you're probably looking for, which is the physical, how the patients go through that step there.
Yeah.
And this just allows thoughts to become your destiny. Your thoughts will become your actions and your habits and your destiny. And that allows these thoughts, and all the thoughts are stupid at first, to really happen. And so much of it is this incredible trust that I've been able to put into Practice Bloom to allow that growth.
Well, and I appreciate that, and I think that's a really good sign. And I wanted to sort of wrap up this. We've been speaking for a while now, and
Sure.
I really am excited to see your growth. What makes you feel confident about these goals? What drives your unending, seemingly unending, um, I guess you could say exuberance is the best way I would say. I'm just curious because with a lot of people, obviously, have got different ways to get themselves to be positively positioned, might have some sort of habits that they do, or things that maybe exercise. What is it that gets you to be, and this is for, again, a human interest story, because I'm
Uh-huh.
curious, because we have a lot of customers. They come in all sorts of sizes and shapes and colors and whatever. They're all different. And I always wonder what makes the customer who goes from 0 to 100 much faster than a client that goes from 0 to 100 much slower. Because to me, it's all mechanics, right? And you just said, like, you get the ads running, you have a good coordinator, and you have a good account manager, and you just sort of run. And if you're closing, you're closing. But what makes you feel more confident? Maybe you could give some assistance to people out there to give them that confidence that they could do it.
That's really interesting. You're throwing me off here because I wasn't really ready for that one. And my answer may be a little more foo-foo for you, and I'll say it kind of in a secular
I
way,
like a
and then
poo-poo.
and I'll say it in the secular way, and then I'll say it in the more religious way, which I believe. Actually, I'm going to do it backwards. I'm going to tell you the religious way first, which is pray like it's done. Pray like God's already blessed you with this. So then the secular way is I do write down my goals still every single day. So right now I'm still at that 10x goal of $100,000 a week. Every day it says that I'm, what my weight is, my goal, what my weight is, which is maintaining my weight, not, and that I am making. So
We don't want
it
to
is
10x
done.
our weight.
Right, right. Okay. It's not a goal. It's an I am. The business is making $100,000 per week. And I can't talk too
Right.
loud because I probably have patients waiting on the other side of that wall. And so pray like it's done and write it down daily like it's done and visualize it as you write it down. Say it in your out loud voice, because those thoughts really do become your actions, which becomes your habits, which becomes your freaking destiny. And so visualize it, pray like it's done, write it down like it's done, and believe it.
That's awesome. And I think that was one of the answers I was going to say, that, if you have a plan, you're actually a lot further ahead than a lot of people who just don't have anything but just play it by ear. Or in a lot of cases that we run into, which is unfortunate, they're just off the cuff and they're spinning in circles because they haven't really figured out even the basics of trying to understand how to get to a number. Like, what
For
are you going
sure.
to do? So if you want $100,000 a week, well, how do you get there? Well, if you need help, go find a resource. Find
Sure.
someone like yourself. I think, you're a great resource that maybe even people could speak with. And that, again, as I said, your mentorship and your coaching and your ability to help, your own team could spread out to others who would be interested in talking. So please, if you're listening to this and you need help and you need some coaching, I think Teresa would be a great person to speak with, in that regard. And I think you'd be welcome to that as well, because we all try and help each other. And sometimes I just get on the phone with some clients that may not be the right fit for us, and I just try and help them make better decisions, and help them with some better buying habits that they could maybe not from us, or maybe not from my company, but maybe from someone else who could help. And that's why I've always felt, if you help people out, no matter where you are in life, they will come back.
Amen, brother. Along those lines, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, if you go to the contact us on my website, it actually comes straight to my inbox. The website is newmedicalspausa.com. So it's new spelled out, N-E-W, newmedicalspausa.com. Go to contact us. I'm there to help you.
Good. Well, we'll see you in episode 3. I'd like to get back in maybe the end of the year, and
Love
let's
it.
see if you are at 100,000 per week. I would love to have that story as our next journey for you to complete. Teresa, it's
You bet.
wonderful talking to you. And again, thank you so much for being on this episode. And I can't wait till our next one.
Thanks, Matt.